Hey, what is up everyone? Welcome back to another Gunpla review, and today is the 1/100 scale full mechanics Gundam Barbatos Lupus. If you haven't yet seen the unboxing, make sure to check that out. I'm also doing a panel lining tutorial on this as well. Basically, it's panel lining for lazy people. Basically, it's how I always panel line my kits, so that's not up yet, but when it is, check that out too. But anyway, let's get to the review. So right out of the box in Snap Build, that's exactly what you get right there, just with a little bit of panel lining. And as you can see, this looks absolutely savage. I wasn't a big fan of the standard 1/100 Barbatos, but this one's sick. Speaking of which, there is a side-by-side comparison between the two. Aesthetically, the standard Barbatos is absolutely nothing on the Lupus. The Lupus looks so damn good. Absolutely every aspect of it is worlds better looking. As a straight built kit, it doesn't look good at all. It's got so many stickers, and in general it just looks kind of bare for how big it is. And I think Bandai really took this on board when they decided to put all this detail on the surface of the Lupus. Apparently that's what makes this a full mechanics, but it definitely makes it look so much better than it would without those lines. Also, on taking this guy out of the box where he's been since I've done the review, this kit hasn't aged well at all. It's gotten so loose and so many parts just keep falling off. This part was already gone, this part from the back of the forearm fell off the minute I took it out of the box, and just the whole inner frame just feels so loose now. Again, I would take this on board because the frame is still the same on this guy, so I would highly recommend gluing these kits. These 1/100s are no grade kits, so that means they need a lot more love than something like a master grade or real grade, or even the IBO high grades. I really love that multi-layered Tekiden symbol on the shoulders, just like with the high grade. As for surface stickers, there's only really two that you need to use if you're not going to paint it, and that are these guys right here. And of course, the Lupus's head is one of the coolest looking Gundam heads to date. That looks savage. So there is that inner frame, and for the majority of this, it's using the same parts as the old 1/100 Barbatos, so there's nothing high mechanics about this at all. I haven't added on all the stickers because a lot of them get covered up, so that's why they're not there. But the only real differences here are the feet, these extensions on the knees as well as the elbows, and the extension parts at the wrists. But for a no grade, it's still really cool to see an inner frame. And finally, there's a height comparison to the Granddaddy Gundam, the Origin version. This guy here, as you can see, took a bit of a beating. He took a fall in the earthquake during the week, so he needs a little bit of love and attention. And throw in the Master Grade Unicorn as well, so you can see that the Lupus is a pretty tall Gundam, mainly due to those high heels down there. So there is the 1/100 full mechanics Lupus with everything that it comes with. So in here, as well as those standard open manipulators you've seen already, we've got a pair of holding manipulators as well. Weapon-wise, we've got that awesome, huge sword mace. I love this weapon, it looks sick. We also have two adapters for attaching that to the backpack, and as well as the sword mace, we also have the 200mm caliber guns, which attach onto the forearm like this, and they can spin around as well as slide back and forward with this little gimmick in here, which is pretty cool. Lastly then, in here we've got these two big long arms, which are used for extending these sections here on the backpack. So that is it for the accessories, so sadly that does mean no mace maracas and no arm rocket launchers. At this point, I'm going to take a quick intermission to open this here. I would have done a single video for it, but it's just one thing. There was only one left in the shop. Basically, what it is kind of like an art card and some bubble gum. So the art cards will look something like this. It might have Barbatos, Mikazuki, Orga, probably other people as well. It says there are 24 of them. So there's the line up there in the back. We've got a bunch of Orga, oh no, 2 Mikazukis, 2 Orga, a whole bunch of other things. Let's see, blah, 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 blah. A whole bunch of things. Let's get it open and see. So try and tear that open without wrecking it, and seriously, of all the cartridges to get, the absolute worst. Garbage. And then in here we've got one gum, so let's try it out. I know how much you like me chewing things. That is the most generic tasting chewing gum ever. So that's that. That was 180 yen and just kind of a novelty item. Not really worth it. So now moving very quickly through the articulation. There's the head all the way up, pretty good. All the way down, nice. There is the side to side tilt. So there's a little, wait, has that? No, that's still connected. There's not much of a side to side tilt without that kind of coming off a little bit. There he is looking to the left and to the right. That head should spin all the way around. Yes, it does. Next, the arm at the shoulder. So we've got two joints in here, one here. So that moves pretty simply like that. The second one then is an up and down and around joint like that. The awesome looking shoulder armor there that can move up and down. That's all there. There's an extra joint in between these two parts, and that can pop out like that, move down and up, and then slide back in tight like that. Rotation there at the upper arm at that point, that can go all the way around. As for the bend at the elbow, there it is straight, and there is the bend. That is very nice. And then lastly, here's the wrist. That's a standard ball joint, so that can spin around and move around like that. A little restricted this way. Maybe you can pull that out for a bit more. Not really, but it's still pretty good. Moving now to the waist, there it is all the way to the front, all the way to the back. Can that pull forward a little bit more? Not really. So there we go one more time, all the way to the front, all the way to the back. As there's side to side, there's side to side, so there is quite a bit in there. That is pretty cool. Let's zoom in for that. There's that quite a bit brighter, so you can see those sections in there move like that. Of course, this frame is exactly the same as the last 100 Barbatos, but I didn't really show this as clearly, so that is awesome. Next then, at the waist unit, there are those flaps at the front all the way up. Again, a standard ball joint, something you've seen a million times there. The back doesn't move at all, that's fixed in place. And then as for the sides, we've got rotation around like that. Whoops, that came off. But that makes it easier. There's that all the way to the front, that can move around like that to the back, so it spins there as well as up like that. And off, let's try that again, up like that. And it fell off again. One more time. Up like that and off. I guess if you move that up too high, it will fall off. Again, that's something I will mention about these kits. Glue things. You can't glue a joint like this, but anything else, try to glue it or tighten it up somehow. These are not the greatest quality. So one more time. Up and down, and that came off again. So be careful of that joint. And this piece. And that piece too. Things like to fall off. Next to the legs, there is the kick all the way up to the front. Very nice. As you can see, this armor part and that armor part has just fallen off. For the rest of this, I'm gonna let what falls off fall off, just so you can see. There it is, all the way to the back. There's another piece off. Again, I recommend glue. Unless you want to take the armor on and off all the time, this will get quite frustrating. But you can see into the joint here now, and we've got rotation there at that point, and another piece falls off. Okay, so now the bend at the knee, there that is. Pretty nice. The inside of the knee joint is a little bit on the ugly side. Well, nah, it's not so bad like that, that's just because it's missing the part. But there is the bend on a normal side. And now down to the ankle, and I love this ankle design. There is all the way tilted outwards, pivoting that in like that. The toe all the way down to the front, all the way back up again. Again, this is awesome. This toe can bend down like that and up again. This section of armor does have some articulation, but since it was all put together, you know, it's kind of not the strongest. This little section in here doesn't look the greatest either. It's probably one of the worst aspects of its design. You can kind of cover it, but not quite. So basically the articulation on here is very, very good. Not quite great, but it's very good. But we do have a lot of repeat offenders when it comes to loose parts. So I'll say it one more time. I would recommend gluing a lot of these irritating falling off parts. So that is it for the review. Should this kit right here actually be called full mechanics? To be honest, I don't think so. There's nothing very different about this. The panel lining we've seen before in the Kimaris, 90% of this kit's frame is what we've seen from the original 100 Barbatos. So all in all, it's essentially exactly the same as what we've seen before. That new name is pointless. But besides that, this is the Gundam Barbatos Lupus, not the Gundam Barbatos, and it looks fantastic. Its strongest point is how absolutely awesome it looks. Just like I said, glue all the non-moving parts if you're not going to be constantly changing the parts out. It will make for a much more enjoyable posing experience. But besides that, just like I said, it's a fantastic looking kit. We've got a really nice set of accessories. And at the end of the day, on your shelf, it's going to look a whole lot more impressive than the high grade. It's definitely a kit I would recommend, but I would also recommend giving it some extra love. But anyway, thank you very much for watching, and make sure to come back for more Gunpla reviews. See you next time.